And we're live. I always get nervous. There's like that one time I pushed the button and it didn't quite work right. And but welcome everybody. Great to see everyone in the chat already. I am really looking forward to this, and was glad that Walt was able to join me because we're going to be giving away a new copy or a copy of his new book, a signed copy. I picked up an extra one when I saw him at Hamvention, and we're definitely going to be filling the time talking about antennas, radios, and more. And whatnot. A couple quick housekeeping things to get out of the way. One thing, so members, thank you, channel members. You can always do what is it, the monthly membership chat and stuff to brag about how long you've been a member. But I made something new tonight, especially for the channel members. There's a custom emoji just for Walt, a DX emoji that you will see in the chat. So brand new, and it was a last minute thing. I did like 5 minutes before I hopped on. So very excited about that. And speaking of the chat too, I know I mentioned about giving away we're giving away a signed copy of the book. I'm going to set up a super chat goal. And if we hit the 10 super chats, then I'm going to also throw in a $25 gift card for DX engineering. So I am just setting that up right now. I can't do two things at once. So let's see here. I'm going to set that up for like the next 30 minutes. And it's a good way if you want to throw out some of the questions for Walt to super chat those, and it'll go towards a gift card giveaway. And if I did that right, I think I just did. Okay, the goal is created. And that's it. Enough about me. I think we're all here to see Walt and to talk about his books and whatnot. So, Walt, welcome aboard.
Mike, always great with you, man. I mean this, and I hope people know this too, man. You're one of the best, man. I one of my favorites. And what every Hamvention we get to hang out, and I look forward to those days and have adult beverages and all that good stuff as well. So good to be here, brother.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for being here, and thank you. I saw Country James bragging in the chat. Thanks for being a member for 6 months, and Matt from Reliance Antennas just gifted 5 subs. So appreciate that very, very much.
Also, before you get going, Mike, if there's anybody, I know I put a link over in my channel and in my other social media. Anybody that's here to watch me that's not a subscriber to Mike's channel, hit the subscribe button now, because I tell you what, I'm just going to be honest with you. I have a hard time watching a lot of ham radio YouTube because I'm always ham radio YouTube, and there's only a few guys that I really follow and watch what they're doing. Mike's one of them. He's a great channel. So if you're not a subscriber, hit that subscribe button right now, and you will not be disappointed.
Yeah, Walt and I always joke because he gets so much hate in the comments about, oh, it only works because you got salt water or whatever. And I'm like, send them over to my channel because I do everything you do with freshwater and forests. And
and a great job of doing it. Yeah,
and they work just fine. So good stuff. Hey, Kevin, I see Kevin in the chat from Ham Radio QRP. Good to see you, brother. Well, this is really timely to talk about your book, and I got the green screen up, so it's not going to show the best there. But I started something just recently, and it's geared towards myself, but I want to encourage other hams to get out there and read. And so I started on the heels of the 5.2 Simplex challenge to try to get more 2-meter activity. I came up with a 5.2 summer reading challenge where I'm trying to challenge myself and others, read 5 days a week, 2 hours a week, fit it into your schedule. I brought your book into work. I was reading during lunch.
Well, and my book doesn't take a lot, man. I mean, it's written on about a 8th grade level, I think.
And but what's fabulous about both books is I took notes as I'm reading it. I got all kinds of ideas and I got all kinds of questions and stuff. And I kind of just sort of jump in with the first book. One of the things that jumped out at me was, you talked about 64 to ones for like 15 meters and
Yeah.
higher. And I was kind of curious, like, because I have, thanks to Matt in the chat from Reliance Antennas, I've got 64, 56, and 49 to ones from him that I've toyed around with. And I was just kind of curious, like, what's been your experience with the 64, 56, 49 to ones? Like, where do they work best for you? And where do you notice any differences?
I definitely. I mean, you can use a 49 to 1 on the higher bands like 10 meters, 12 meters, even 15. 49 to 1. I've found that the feed point impedance, the higher
Mhm.
you go in the HF bands, it seems like the feed point impedance gets a little higher and higher. So bringing it back into the realm you want it. The 64 to 1 seems to be a better option um, up there. Even for me,
Okay.
20 and 40 meters, the 49 to 1 is usually spot on. You measure the wire, it's pretty close. You can adjust it a little bit. I've found that measuring the wire and I've used 49 to 1s up on 10 meters and 15 meters, but I've found that it takes a lot more trimming, a lot more adjusting, and it doesn't. And once you measure the wire, it's not a true half wave anymore. It seems to me like the 64 to ones, when I use those, I can almost just measure the wire exactly a half wave,
Okay.
and I'm pretty darn close. So for some reason, for me in my usage, I don't know. A lot of that also may have to do with the ground below me. I mean, where I'm at, my location, and there's
That's true.
so many moving parts. But I've just found that 64 to 1 for me, like for the 10-meter band, let's say for a vertical half wave, is it's more effective and more lengthwise true to a half wavelength.
Nice. Yeah. And speaking of the 64 to ones, one of the antennas that stood out in that first book that I got to make, because I got an extra 64 to 1, was you talked about building a fold over end fed half wave for 10, 11, and 12 meters, and
Right.
then just marking, which was great because I have a 64 to 1, in your fashion, I just cut speaker wire and I cut it for 11 meters to use with the CB, and it worked out. The way it was cut initially, it was for 11 and 12. And
Right.
I was able to squeeze those two, but I was going to be a little bit higher towards the higher portion of 11 meters where the DX is. And so I cut it down so that it would be lower
Right.
there. And then it goes up a little bit more, but it's still usable on 10. So I know that I could get two bands, but the idea of being able to get those three, I think it was really interesting. Just doing a simple fold over, and
Fold
I
over.
got ideas. I made notes. I'm like, "Hey, I could probably put like some heat shrink or something on the wire just to kind of mark it, and if I have something, maybe a little plastic bead or something, I can slide over to keep
I
it
wish
held in place."
I wish I had it here with me. If you've got the spool tenna and you
Okay.
see the way Rob does the spool tenna where you can adjust it, that's just a fold
Okay.
over. It's the same idea.
Yeah.
He's got some
Okay. I'll check
pretty
that
cool
out.
stuff. Yeah, check that out if you've got one. Look at how he does it, and you can adjust it. I was just out about 3 weeks ago. I didn't do a video, believe it or not. I do go out sometimes on the weekends and
Yeah.
don't video what I'm doing. I
Those are the
love to
fun
go play
ones.
ham radio. And we were camping, and I threw the spool antenna 49 for 40-meter band, the full length 66, 65, whatever feet long, and checked it with my rig master. And I was right on a dune by the ocean, and it was a little wonky. And I went and adjusted it, and brought it in, and with that. Now I probably take that same wire and go away from the ocean, and like we just said a minute ago, so many factors it'll probably still be okay, but I'll notice that where I got it, let's just say, you know, 1 to 1 in the middle of the 40-meter band. Once I get away from it, now it's like 1 to 6, 1.6 to 1 or
Mhm.
something. I can adjust it again, or I could just leave it alone and let it ride. But yeah, there are differences there. But yeah, but getting back to the fold over, yeah, take a look at
Yeah.
if anyone's got a spool tender, they know what I'm talking about. You can adjust it up and down.
Yeah. A couple other things that I took notes on. I really love how you included some of the radiation patterns for the antennas in there because with antennas like that we're known for, like the Rybakoff, because of our use on and promotion of that antenna. That's one of the key things to that antenna is it's, people get so hung up on SWR and some of those other things, but the radiation patterns. And
Right,
I love seeing them. And I spend a lot of time just going back and forth looking at the 29-foot and the 35.5-foot random wires, which are two that I used a lot. And I started off with the 35.5.
right.
And we do a lot of 40 meters in the Northeast, and that's nice because then you got a quarter wave on there. You're going to get something that's pretty efficient. But the 29-foot random wire, I've really liked a lot the last year or two because that's really easy to just straight up vertical on, the typical, 33 meter or 33-foot mast and stuff.
Right.
That works really good. And
Take
a
off
small
the takeoff angle
footprint.
on that 30 on that 29, very close to a half wave for the 20-meter band. That is a DX machine
Yeah.
for 20 meters. Been a while since I built one of them. I need to get out
Yep.
and do that.
Yep, and stuff, and just with the radiation patterns, like, you realize, like, that's why we need all these antennas. There's no perfect one because you get to the 29-foot one, and all of a sudden, 10 meters and maybe even 12, they start going up a lot more than they start going out.
You see all the, it looks like a flower almost
Yeah,
when you see
and
yeah.
granted, I think, with bands like 10 and 12, if they're open, they're open. And you don't need a whole lot, but those patterns, they change, and I think that's important, and it's an important consideration for how somebody wants to
Right.
operate from, different bands, modes, different setups, and everything. And I thought that was great to see. I
Yeah, the
I
second book, I mean, I modeled some for the first
Yep.
book, but I got deeper into modeling by the time the second book came along. The funny thing about modeling though is if you get better and better, then like especially you can start playing around with the ground below you. And like with me, I could change it from, salt water over to, I could look at, where I was at, and if I was in the middle of Iowa or something where Kevin's at or something, I could change that ground below. And it's really cool to watch the radiation pattern change with the ground below you as well. So I had fun modeling it. I didn't want the book to be too much of that though, because the whole idea was the sketch, you know what I mean? But it
Yeah.
was good to add it to it. I enjoyed doing that.
Yeah. One thing I did find humorous, and I'll give you a little bit of a hard time because I built the antenna and I got it right here. But one thing that I thought was funny that was missing was there was no quarter wavelength for the 30-meter band, but you included the 30 and 60 for the dipole. And because I do this thing, I've been challenging myself for the last year and a half now, like work band Wednesday, to try to use the work bands on
Right.
Wednesdays, which has taught me a lot. And now I get why you don't do digital or CW, so
No, but
30
I should
meters
be
is,
in there. That was just
but,
a
hey,
senior moment on mine, probably
I
leaving it out.
no, that's okay. 30 meters, I've learned this year, I've got when I get out at, like, 6 in the morning, obviously, getting down to Australia, but, like, Japan and, like, it's some really amazing DX. Yes, it's FT8,
Well,
but
I've
it's
got something I'm getting ready to start playing with. I've got this. If you've seen
okay,
this, the cipher, the Digistorm cipher, which is a CW decoder,
okay,
CW sender with an app. I haven't even broken it out yet, but you can basically hook that up and sit there like you're texting on your phone, sending
mhm,
CW and receiving CW. So it's funny you say 30-meter band. That was the first thing that came to my mind when I got that at Hamcation, I'm sorry, in Orlando.
okay.
I ordered it then, and just now they're starting to ship. And but so 30 meters is a band for me. I'll get there,
I
and I don't want to cheat
Yeah.
all along. I just want to get. I'm in a hurry. That would get me on 30 meters, and as I'm using that, hopefully I won't be so lazy that I won't get better at sending CW and receiving. So
Yeah, the, 30, I wish we had more of 30 because even for, like, some voice and stuff,
yeah.
because it seems like that band is always open and it's got the best features of 20 and 40. You can do DX and invis on it. Like it seems like it's really good. But what I was going to show you, I don't know if you saw when I did the video on it. What I did was, I used speaker wire, but I used a Reliance choke and BNC binding post on there. And so this is no solder. And so I got the radials, the element there. You could use the LDG as well, for anyone watching, just to give you ideas. But yeah, a lot of fun. Like, and I think the last year, the quarter wave has definitely grown on me. I picked
It's
up
fun.
that
It's funny you
Alpha.
say that, though. I was in the midst. Well, I was in the Outer Banks last week, all week, and I was sitting there with a few Pacificos in me, thinking about antennas or whatever. And I'm probably going to eventually do the video. I started playing around, taking notes and stuff. I want to do I get a lot of comments. Resonant antennas versus non-resonant antennas, and you
Mm,
know how I love like the Ribicoff and the 20.5 and the 17.5, I like all those different things with a 4-to-1 and as we were talking, the 29-to-1. And I started, we were talking about modeling too. I started over the weekend playing around with modeling the takeoff angles and the differences over salt water of a quarter wave vertical and let's just say the 17.5 or the 25 or the Ribicoff, playing around with the
yeah.
different takeoff angles. And that was going to be, and it will be, if I ever do the video, it will be the shtick to that is I love a quarter wave vertical too. I even say it is the entry level to verticals. If you got it, like everyone used back in the old days, they build a dipole, build a quarter wave vertical, a resonant antenna, hook it up, and it's amazing. But the people get stuck there. I mean, just like people, old guys back in the day got stuck
Mm,
with dipoles. Well, we even compare antennas now to dipoles. It's always the one you compare to. But people
yeah.
get stuck on that thing and they go, I only use a resonant antenna. Well, I'm sorry. I mean, you're not sitting on the beach at 5 in the morning talking to New Zealand and Australia like I am, and I have a better opportunity. I don't care if I'm only getting 85% of my signal there. The takeoff angle is allowing
Yeah.
that to happen compared to, if the Ribicoff's doing this and then the quarter wave vertical's doing that, your miss is hit and miss. I mean, it's almost like you're, you're aiming your signal, you're aiming that RF and knowing and learning by doing instead of just believing all the theory. But I've been at the beach at that same spot probably 100 times with 30 different antennas. I know which ones will hit spots during certain condition times, certain day of whatever. And and getting back to that
Yeah.
quarter wave is amazing. It's great for me. My location right now, I go on the beach with a quarter wave on 20 meters in whenever it's open to Europe, and I can talk to anybody in Europe. But I can't take that same quarter wave and talk to Japan for some reason. You know what I mean? It's just the way
Mm,
Skip's working for me. But I can do the same thing. I can put up the Ribicoff, and I'm talking to Japan because the takeoff angles such that I'm probably hitting
okay.
Japan on the second skip over, or up and around the pole. So I know I'm getting off on a tangent, but you
No.
got me thinking about that quarter wave, and it's been on my mind. I
Yeah.
mean, it's kind of like it's something to think. I overthink, and then I tell myself you're overthinking antennas, but I guess that's part of the fun part of the hobby,
Yeah. Yeah. As long as we don't let the overthinking get in the way of us actually doing something.
right?
But when we were talking at convention, you remember I picked up the Alpha, the 34.5 foot whip. And I've set that up the last 2 Sundays in the backyard, and I've kind of I'm getting to a point where it's going up a little quicker each time, and
Right.
you do have to guy it, otherwise that
Yeah.
thing is just like swinging, even without the wind. It's just, but I I cut some wires so I could connect. Um, I know this is just the 1-to-1, but so I could connect 9-to-1s, 4-to-1s. Because that was my initial thought, like, hey, I can put it up at 25 feet, do it with a 4-to-1 for a Ribicoff, or I can put a 9-to-1 on there for 29 feet. And this is why I got the shirt, the RF around and find out. Like, you don't know
Yeah.
till you mess around. But I was trying like hell last night to get this thing as a half wave on 20, and I couldn't do it. I was using the 1010s 49-1. It was connected to that. I tried a couple different counterpoise lengths of like around 3 feet or 6 feet or
Yeah.
so. The longer counterpoise actually seemed a little bit better, but I had a hard time getting it down, like down below 2.5-1. I was running out of
You
time,
choked
so I
it?
could,
You
yeah.
choked it at the feed point as well
Yep.
yeah, wow.
Yeah, yeah. I did the first deployment. I thought, well, I'll get a 3-foot jumper of coax. I'll use that for the counterpoise, and then I'll put the choke 3 feet away. Um, and then I measured it right from the feed point with just like a short, or right from the choke with like a short
Right.
jumper, and it was higher, and then I choked it right at the feed point with just like like a 6-inch or whatever jumper, and did the longer counterpoise, and that was a little bit better. But like I said, I was running out of time to experiment. So I just was like, screw it. I threw the 9-1 on there, and 20 meters, like the SWR was like around like 1.3 or 4.
Wow.
And it's like one of those, like, you don't know sometimes until you try, like,
Yeah.
and now I clearly need to experiment both with like the length and the counterpoise stuff and all that. But when I put the 9-1 on there, I was like, oh geez, this is what I'm trying to do here.
I've had those moments. What's
Yeah.
funny? I, I went out the other morning on the beach early in the morning, and I said, you know what? I'm going to go out talking about this video I was going to do. So I went out. I said I didn't take my tuner. I did. All I took out was the res. I took out the 17 foot, and I measured it and trimmed it to quarter wave for 20, and I ran that one. The rest system has 33-foot long counterpoise wires. There's 4 of them
Hmm.
with it. I got, and I just use one in it down in the wet sand, and I've done that a million times. And usually, especially like Virginia Beach or where I go, the SWR just goes almost flat across 20. If I just got it right. For some reason, I couldn't get SWR under 3.5-1 that
Hmm.
morning. That same setup, and I was like, man, I still don't know what happened. Maybe it was too much counterpoise, that the
Yeah.
length of it. I didn't have anything else with me. Had I had my bag of tricks, I'd have taken that counterpoise off and put a couple 5 meters on it and see if that changed the SWR or whatever. But that happens to me all the time. The same thing. And I build
Hmm.
an antenna, like I build 3 or 4 antennas a week. It's crazy. You know what I mean? It's like
Yeah.
it's like physics is an amazing thing. You know what I mean? You just don't know what's going on. You got to go out and do it. That's what bothers me about all these theory
Yeah.
guys that know it all. I mean, no, you don't. You get out there and just like you just the experience you had, I
Yeah.
do. It doesn't always work the way things don't
Hmm.
always go as planned. It's
Yeah.
like with my books, people go, I built that antenna just like your book, and I couldn't get the SWR below blah blah blah. I'm going, hey, keep going. You know what I mean? It's like it worked for me, and I'm sorry. It's we all have those days when we're building antennas.
Yep. Yeah, like you just don't. That's what I say. Like RF around and find out, and
Right.
you've been a big inspiration for that mantra that I kind of
I've got that
adopted.
T-shirt. I should have wore it today. I was
Which
like,
it's like, just mess around, experiment, learn. Don't be afraid to fail. We all make mistakes. I'm pretty sure everyone in the chat has forgotten to connect the coax to the transceiver at one point, and turn the
yeah,
radio on and like, why am I not hearing anything? It's we,
yeah,
we 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 all make mistakes, but that's how you learn, and you get ideas, and maybe there's something going on with the ground. Maybe it just has to do with the deployment. I don't know, but I'll mess around and learn and come up with some unique configurations for that thing, because I got lots of ideas and stuff. But I want to make sure. I had a couple questions from channel members that came in, and I want to make sure I bring those up before we get off on too many other tangents or get caught up into the giveaway, which I will get started very soon. But uh friend Rabbit Ham, who's in the chat, said, what antenna setup would you never use again? And are there plans for a future book? So, is there a setup
well,
that you're just
agreed.
like, nope, I'm done with, and
I mean, I said that about I did say that about magnetic loops, and then I got that Alex loop and had a successful day with it.
Yeah.
As far as wire antennas, an antenna I'll never use again. That's a tough one, because I say this all the time. There's a lid for every pot. You never,
Yeah.
there's an antenna for every situation. So I don't want to say there's one that I wouldn't. I'm not super crazy about, like I said, I'm not crazy about magnetic loops because I'm not a my situation doesn't call for it. But once again, and then I got the Alex loop and like,
Mhm.
well, damn, that thing works. You know what I
Yep.
mean? So I can't think of not. I can't think of one in particular now.
Okay. Plans for a future book?
You know what? We're talking about it already and thoughts. I did have some thoughts taking all the antennas I've done so far, taking like you were saying, all the modeling and doing a more technical book. I might take every antenna I've ever done and model them in 3D AutoCAD and make
Cool.
like real solid technical, not my hand drawn stuff, and just make a catalog of every antenna I've ever built or every antenna that I want to build. Like maybe I'll just go research the Moxon and put every situation of how the Moxon works, or Yagi's, whatever, but draw them in 3D in AutoCAD, lay them out at like a real engineering drawing, and then behind them model them so you would have all of the things. Thinking about doing that. I'm not saying that's definitely going to happen. It's something I want to do eventually. I
Okay.
don't know if that'll be something the American Radio Relay League wants to do. They seem to be very happy, and maybe there will be a third book. That's one idea that I had for a book. The other idea would just be a portable Salty Waltz portable ham radio guide or whatever, just how I set everything up, how I get out there, how I do it, how I travel with radios, power that I use, just kind
Mhm.
of an overview, more geared for the newer ham, or for someone that's been a ham for a while but doesn't go out portable a lot. Maybe I'm thinking about doing something like that. But yeah, I mean the wheels are turning,
Yeah.
and it probably will happen. I said when I was like three-quarter of the way through book two, I was like, I mean, it was a grind. It was a lot of work to put that together. And I was saying to myself, I'm done. After this one, I'm done for a while. Maybe 2 or 3 years before I do another book. Then the book's published, you look at it, you hold it in your hand, you're like, oh man, this is so great. You go to Hamvention, everyone's buying it, they love it, or whatever. I'm like,
Yeah.
yeah, I'm going to have to do another one. It's a good feeling.
Nice. Nice. The other question that I got from a channel member is Dave from Frequency Frontiers. He's got a good channel. And he asked, what antenna have you experimented or used that surprised you the most, both good and bad? So, what were the two biggest surprises, good and bad, with an
Um,
antenna?
a good surprise. I was in Poland, and it was a European 6 meter contest, and I had no way to really build a. I wanted to build a dipole, but it was I didn't. I was limited. I was living. I would go over there for 6 weeks at a time, and in my mind, before I went that whole 6 weeks, I had every antenna that I wanted to build, and I would get all the supplies together and go do it. And as I'd go over there each time, I'd take another pole and leave it. And I had a house
Okay.
over there I was sharing with another guy, and what would happen is we would overlap for a week at the beginning and the end of each one. So I'd spend 6 weeks. He'd come in on the following, my last week, and then he'd be there alone for 4 weeks, and then I'd come back. So we were always alone for a month at a time, and then in the middle we were living. So I was always bringing more and more stuff over. I know I'm going on a tangent again, guys. I'm sorry, but a six
Nope.
meter contest. I was like, you know what? I don't know if I can get a horizontal dipole up. I'm just going to try a vertical dipole for six, and I built it. And I'm like all the way up in Poland. It was the middle of summer, and I was like talking to Gibraltar and all the rest of Europe with it. And I was surprised. I didn't expect that antenna to do as well as it did. Now, which one disappointed me? And you guys are going to laugh. You're really going to laugh at this one. But that whole idea I had of the Coastal 20, I put it together, and it did great at times. It disappointed me at times, and I really the whole idea of the antenna was it was going to be a major compromise. But I wanted something that I could use vertically near the ocean without
Mhm.
laying counterpoise wires down because of people in the summertime. And then Mike, you and I talked about it, and
Yeah.
you actually, I think, were one of the influencers to go to the 4-to-1.
Yeah.
And I went that it improved that antenna a lot. So I get so many great comments on that antenna. People love it. Um, I designed that thing and put that thing together full well knowing that it was not going to be the end all be all of antennas, but seems to be doing well for some people. But I think I've been more disappointed with that one at times. And
Okay.
so I'm just telling on myself, that's been the one that's caused me some disappointment. I've built it a few times and I was like, what the heck was I thinking? And I built it a couple other times and I was like, damn, this is a great antenna. So it's that antenna.
Yeah. I I went out with it, and I think I jokingly put serial number 003 on the one that I made because I think Morton had built it.
Yeah.
LB0 Fox India had built it right after you did it, and went out with the 9-to-1, and I kind of was like, something's off. Like, part of it was just the tuning ability. If I
Yeah.
wanted to run 100 watts on the 7300, I would have to use an external tuner, because the 3-to-1 wasn't getting all the bands. But when I switched to the 4-to-1, I was able to get not all of them, but almost all of them.
Right.
And I think there's like this rationale that, and 4-to-1s tend to be better with the shorter
Mhm.
wires
Yeah.
versus the 9-to-1s are good for the longer ones. But yeah, and then I was using it with the green LDG, the 4-to-1 unon.
Right.
And oh no, look, a squirrel. And then I realized as I'm reading your book, I'm like, wait, Walt says it works best with the 4-to-1 Balun. I got to use it. I got to try this with the gray one. I had gone out in the
Yeah.
winter with another ham, and we used the Reliance Rybakov 4-to-1 transformer
Right.
with it because I just wanted to do something different, and like RF around and find out, and so we had really good performance, but I have to try it with the 4-to-1 Balun now and kind of see. But I've heard good things from others. Whenever I've done my videos on it, I've gotten comments and people like, oh, I've had this up at my house. It works great. Yada,
Yeah.
yada, yada. So
It does. It does work great at times, but I think there are times that it does. I don't know what, like I said,
yeah.
band conditions, what's going on. Funny thing about that, when you talk about the 9-to-1, there was the genesis of that antenna. I'm in Poland. I took stuff over there. I had built every antenna that I had planned. I had a week or two left. I was like, I want to do something. I start the wheels start turning. I think the 17.5 and then the rest of it that take this thing to 20 and a half feet.
Hmm.
And all I had was a 9-to-1. And the problem I had that that set that whole thing in the wrong direction was I had a G90 with me. Well, I had G90 will tune anything. So it was tuning it, it was performing, and it was happening. But if you didn't have a G90, if you were, if you had a Yaesu or an ICOM that had a 3-to-1, tuner, those were the guys that were telling me it doesn't work, it doesn't work. That went away with the 4-to-1, and it really went away with the 4-to-1 Balun because at the end of the day, it's almost like a off center fed vertical dipole per se. You know what I mean? So the balance side of it, for some reason, it seems to perform better. And that's an antenna that I didn't model. I modeled it after the fact, but when I built it, it was just a scratch it out in the dirt and throw it up and see if it works antenna, and it
Okay.
did.
Now it's funny you were talking about the G90. So the question that I had for you, and this will be a good segue to the second book because you do talk a little bit about the radios and stuff in the second book, but with the G90, if there was one change that you could make to the G90, just one change, one improvement, what would it be?
Audio quality.
Yeah.
Without a doubt. Without a doubt. That's one reason why I quit using it in my videos is because I got so many people going, Walt, I love your videos. I love everything about it. When your receive is on the G90 and we're watching QSOs, it makes my ears bleed. I mean, it was like, and that's what people would say. And I have a hearing issue anyway. So when I'm out
Okay.
portable, everyone hears me. I mean, I got it cranked up and I talk loud as well. So I think it definitely would be audio.
Nice. So second book, which is this is what we're giving away. I gotta always put my hand here because of this. Oh, now I'm disappearing.
I got. How about this? You've
Yeah,
got
well,
an
Walt's got it
autographed
there. Yeah.
version of that. There it is. Second book.
Yep.
Let's
So, and I got Walt signed it there. I got an extra sticker, but I dug through the crates and I got the sticker from last year too. So I'm throwing in a bonus sticker. And then I of course got my stickers that I'll throw in there as well. So really cool. I really enjoyed the second book as well. And it got me thinking a lot about doing, for whether it's co-phase verticals or two element vertical antennas. I still have new in the box a co-phasing harness that I bought probably a year or so ago after watching one of your videos, that I definitely need to put to work. But I like how you've definitely, like the title suggests, it's like you've leveled up. And some of these things, some of the things you were doing in there, and we've seen them in the videos. Like who goes portable with a rhombic? It's like I love it. Because I've seen hardly anything on that antenna. And there were definitely some really unique things in the book that jumped out at me. I had heard briefly from somebody else before you started using the terminating resistors. Like that's something really new to me. I had heard of them briefly before, and I guess I kind of start there with the terminating resistors and some of these antenna deployments. The first question I have is like, is that introduce like additional loss? I know that helps reduce
It does.
standing waves
No, it takes loss from back. I mean, you lose with that. You
okay,
lose, but you gain. I mean, you are 100%. Everything's going,
okay,
forward. But yeah, it does introduce loss. It's not a, you're giving to get, per se. You know what I mean? You're giving up, what's behind you to get what's forward. It's
okay,
really the rhombus antenna itself. If anyone's familiar with during World War II, it's really what got me interested in it. There was a listening station in Rhode Island, in Situate, Rhode Island, and there's some great information out on it if you go look at it. It's called the listening post that won the war. They actually intercepted Rommel over in North Africa and all his tank operations with the rhombus antenna in Rhode Island, and that intelligence helped them defeat Rommel in North Africa in the tank wars. They also, with that rhombus antenna, intercepted the German U-boat comms when they would come up on the water
okay,
with the rhombus, and I believe it was the Queen Mary was in South America with troops. It was going to come up across. And the plan was for the Germans to torpedo the Queen Mary, and that rhombus in Rhode Island, that antenna, that listening post, intercepted it and heard it. They relayed the Brits. The Brits relayed, they met, contacted the Mary, and it went down and went around the Indian Ocean and came up or that way to avoid getting attacked by the Germans. So that antenna, it's got some history behind it. And even if you look at the ARRL logo, it's in the shape of a
yes,
rhombus. So it's cool. I will tell you this: if anyone's interested in building it, if you can flatten it out, I had to build it at an angle because I'm talking portable, 2 poles and then a couple little short poles at the end. If you can lay it flat, it's even better. It brings down the takeoff angle from transmit. But I was extremely blown away on the 10 meter. Mine was a total of 400 feet of wire, so 100 feet, 100 feet. I bought 4 rolls of 100-foot wires. I didn't have to measure them, and then I just hooked them at the 16-to-1 at one end, at the pole, joined them together, and then came around to the terminating resistor, the 600 ohm terminating resistor at the other end. But that so 400 foot of wire, 10 meter band. I can't say that I did, but I think I almost heard my echo coming back around. I mean, that's how incredible that was on 10 meters. It was just like I could go, wherever I wanted to go. And I was pointed at Europe, And I mean, I was hearing Russians on it on 10 meters that they were I couldn't like call them, but I was just hearing everything. An incredible receive, but also when I was transmitting and talking throughout Europe on 10 meters with that antenna, it was amazing. And then as I came back up, came back down the bands with the rhombus, like when I got to 20, I know from modeling too, the takeoff angle was going, for me, the way I had it, the way I had the antenna also angled, like by the time I got to 40, it was almost like an Envis antenna, the way it was. But that was such a fun, and that's kind of the idea of that second book, Next Level, is like you and I RF around and find out. Go out and do stuff like that. You know what I mean? Build antennas like that. You're going to learn a heck of a lot more than just reading, just watching some old fat guy like me on YouTube doing it. You go out and do it. Try it. It's so much fun.
Yeah. And one thing that I absolutely loved was the very beginning. I loved seeing the quote from Anthony Bourdain. A huge Anthony Bourdain fan.
Same here.
And I loved seeing that in the beginning because sort of, it's that spirit, that attitude that,
I jokingly
is so
say all
critical
the
to this
time.
hobby. Yeah.
Yeah. I jokingly say all the time that Anthony Bourdain is my spirit animal. He's really in the back of my mind why I did the food things in those videos and why I still do it in videos. That whole, I watched all his stuff. I've seen everything he ever did. No reservations. Everything, the layover, all that, and he really inspired me to no end. So it was all. I asked him. I said, "Can I?" When we were getting right at the end, they were like, "Oh, all right. You quoted Buffett. You've done this, whatever." I said, "It's got to be Anthony Bourdain. This has got to be him. He inspired me in life so much." That sounds kind of corny, but it's true. I love it. I love Anthony Bourdain.
Yes. All right. We got 46 participants in the giveaway. So I'm ready to push the button so we can move on to the next one. That's right. We're going to do another. I don't care if we didn't hit the goal or whatever. I want to give back. And so we're going to do the $25 gift card next. And let's see here. Push the button. Now I'll ship the book anywhere. It's no problem, but I need you to let me know when you win your call sign if you got one. And all right, Chris. So we got KC1 IAM on the book. And Chris, are you good on QRZ? Let me know in the chat. Let's see here. Yeah, let me know if you're good. And we can. He is. All right. Awesome. Nicely done. All right. This is going to take me a second to set up the second one. And there's a little reference to the book, the first book, for the keyword for the second giveaway. This next giveaway, I'm going to do a $25 gift card to DX Engineering, and it should be an e-gift card, and everything. I appreciate everyone's generosity in the chats today, whether it's super chats, memberships, and everything. That means a lot, and I truly want to give back. And Walt's been an affiliate for DX Engineering, and he's done some fabulous videos with some of the res antenna systems and some of the other things that they have, which are awesome. And so I want to support them as well. DX Engineering's done a lot of gift certificates for my club's Hamfests and everything too. So I like supporting those that support us. So let me get that set up. And well, I am doing that real quick. Let me throw another question at you. Something that kind of jumped out at me in the second book was the feed point impedance with the 2-element verticals. You mentioned like parasitic elements will lower the feed point impedance. And I was just kind of curious about that. And
well, I mean, that's the whole idea too with like with the harness or what have you, is making the change from 75 ohms to 50 ohms, whatever. It's a moving target, and once you start adding things, it's just like in a circuit. When you add something with resistance, things will drop, and that's kind of the same idea there. Um, with that said, yeah, John Genron, that's who I got that when I did the co-phase, not the actual phased array system. John, his Performance Z antennas, I got it from him, and that was really that was cool because he used, it was called the Chrisman method, and put that whole circuit together, and he sells them. But that was another thing that I found, that setting up and tuning, I would literally have to switch over, tune the antenna, switch over, tune the antenna. You know what I mean? And they had to be perfect. They really did for them
Okay.
to work. So it was a lot of work. Feed point impedance. There's some magical mystery stuff that's going on in there. It really is. But yeah, and just like we said earlier with SWR, and you're out there one day and it works, and the next day you're having trouble, whatever. Once you start adding all those parts in, especially with like the phased array, it takes some effort. It really did. I think I mentioned that in the book. I mean, it's
Yeah.
there's some effort involved there when you start going down that route. I'll tell you though,
Definitely.
if you don't mind me telling you this,
Yeah.
the one antenna that blew me away out of that's in that book, that's doing something similar to co-phase, something similar to phased array, whatever, is the half square antenna. If you got two poles, build the half square, but feed it up in the corner is a big difference from an end-fed half. When you feed it down at the bottom with a 49-to-1 and use,
Uh-huh.
that it changes everything takeoff angle wise. But when you feed it up top,
Okay.
same deal with the bobtail curtain. The same thing, same
Hmm.
idea. It's like you're feeding it up here because now you have one that's here, and then with the right distance away and then down. They're in phase. You know what I mean? And it just, when I built that half square antenna, that was the first time I took long path to South Africa with that antenna, and I wasn't I was near water, but I was out in the park, up in grass. This wasn't
Yeah.
something I just built on the beach. When I built that antenna, it's like, oh my God, I got to do this on the beach. And then the wheels started turning. I'm like, let's do the bobtail curtain, which is like a double half square, but a huge antenna. So I built the half square for 20 meters. I said, you know what? I'll do the bobtail curtain for 10. When I built that for 10 meters, that was another day. I lucked out. It was late October, maybe November, and it was a day where it was like 70 degrees Fahrenheit, beautiful day.
Hmm.
And I went to the beach and built that bobtail curtain. And I'll be honest with you, I wish I'd lived right on the water. I'd have a bobtail curtain out in my backyard all day long, like, or a half square. So if somebody's interested in, and playing around with phasing and co-phasing and whatever, I think the entry level of that is go out and build a half square.
It's funny you mentioned that antenna because when I read the first book, one of my last notes was I can't believe he didn't talk about an end-fed half square in there. And then sure enough, the half square was in there. And then you talked about feeding it with the 4-to-1 versus in the corner and
Yeah.
stuff. 'Cause that's one antenna I haven't done. Yeah, I have everything I need to do it, but it's something I've thought about. I've thought
I
about
built
it.
it. I built it in Fed with a 49-to-1 in Poland, and
Yeah.
it did okay in Europe. I mean, because I wasn't, I'm just talking around Europe with it. But yeah, like I said, in the corner, fed with it, fed in the corner, up high like you're supposed to.
Hmm.
Like I said, blew me away. I hear a ZS call, and he comes back to me, and I said it was weird because it's morning, and it's like Octoberish or whatever, and I was like, I never get South Africa this time of day. And I'm hearing, I was actually on the Southern CrossNet talking to Vic, all these guys in Australia. He said, I'm not beaming your way, mate. I'm beaming around. He said, I'm talking to you, long path. I was like, wow, that
Hmm.
was crazy.
Yeah, I'm gonna check on the giveaway here and see how the entries are going here with this.
Being a good boy today, I'm having a 0-calorie cola.
We got 49 in there. Let it go for another minute or so
Okay.
before I pull the trigger on that. Yeah, I'm drinking Pacifico, not the usual Utica Club, um, but we were talking backstage. Pacifico is one of those beers that it reminds me. It just I when I'm out at the lake, like that's what I'm drinking. And it just reminds me of being on the water.
Yeah.
And I was like, I got to get some of that for. I hadn't had it in a while, and
I
stuff.
had
But
quite a few Pacificos by the Atlantico
yeah,
last week when I was out in the Outer Banks there.
yeah,
I love it's great. It's a light beer. You can drink it and
yep,
just like, keep
yeah.
going.
Yeah, and the connection I was telling you, the interesting connection to Rochester where I am is Pacifico and Modelo and a whole bunch of other breweries, wineries, distilleries are owned by Constellation Brands, which is in Rochester, right in downtown
Right.
Rochester. So there is a Rochester, there is an upstate New York connection to Pacifico, even though it's a Mexican lager. But good stuff. All right, we are up to 54 and it's 7:54. I'll give it one more minute. Last call. And let's see if it's like you say last call when you're doing a POTA, if all of a sudden like a dozen people jump in
Right.
out of
I tried
nowhere.
that the other day, Saturday morning. I was like, I'm gonna get back and work some more DX here. I was trying to run a battery down. I was out with that PA micro
Yeah.
PA 100 amp and a little 6 amp hour battery. I had two of them. I'm like, I'm gonna run this one until it dies. I'm like 45 minutes in and it's still. I'm looking, I'm still going strong at like 13 volts. I'm like, wow. And then I'm like, I want to go back and work some DX now. I'm having fun, but I've made like
Mm.
45 minutes of POTA here, and it was funny because it was somebody got on like right beside me, and they were just QRM, and I couldn't hear anymore. So I mean, I guess they did me a favor. I hate to say that. I'm like, all right, guys, I got to go. I got noise beside me here. See you later. Bye. But yeah.
All right. So let me pull the trigger here. All right, 58. All right, I am pushing the button. Awesome, James. All right, so let me know. I'm guessing the call sign might be the Kilo India 5 Oscar Echo Bravo, but James, let me know the call in the chat and if you're good on QRZ, and then I will likely need to email you, or you can email me at Mike n2mak@gmail.com because it's going to be an e-gift card, and so it'll get delivered via email. I want to make sure it's going to the right email and everything. Um, so let's see here. Okay, thanks. He's good on QRZ. Okay.
Good. I'm go have fun. You can
Yes.
DX engineering is like it's like looking back in the day when we were kids. It's like looking at the toy store catalog, the toy store, and see what's going on there. A lot of great stores. They're good people there too. They really are, and I've enjoyed being an affiliate with those guys. It's I've gotten a few things, but all in all, though, I like what they stand for. I really do. Talking about them, Rez, he's just a one man show, starting a company on his own, and the support they gave him to get him up and running. Same thing with Rob down in North Carolina with Spooltenna. I mean, that's what I like about DX Engineering is they're supporting the guy that would normally be like trying to do it all by himself on Timu. They're stepping up and making these guys legitimate
Mhm.
businesses, helping them, really get going on that. So yeah, I would support them even if I wasn't an affiliate of theirs for that reason alone.
Yeah, no, it's good. And in the description down below is Walt's affiliate link, not mine. Walt's affiliate link to DX Engineering. So DX some love. show some support to Walt and use that link for any purchases. Like Walt likes to say, like treat yourself.
Yeah, buy
Get your,
yourself something.
yeah,
Don't buy me a coffee. Don't worry about supporting me. Go buy yourself
yep,
something. If you get it through DX Engineering. With that said, I know we're getting close to the end here.
yep.
I'm going to Australia in November, second week in November. I'm going to Australia and then New Zealand, and I've been talking about that on my channel. Been putting this kit together or whatever. But part of the deal is everything that I get, every support I get through the affiliate thing that they get back to, I'm just pushing it aside. That's what's going to get me to Australia and back. Something I would have not been able to do without DX Engineering, offering the affiliate thing to me, and then good people like you guys, if you're watching, that when you go to buy something, go through my link, and it supports me because that's how I'm going to pull that off. That's how I'm going to Australia and New Zealand, was through my little push in the back from DX Engineering, and what I get. I mean, the proceeds I get from being an affiliate.
Awesome. Yeah, no, I think that's awesome. I'm really looking forward to your adventures and everything that is going to go into that trip, from how you're packing, how you're traveling, what you're choosing to bring, the decision process, the any of the legal hurdles and all that stuff. That might make for that good third book.
Yeah, I was thinking stuff like that. It's
Yeah.
funny you say that. Like, I've got a drone. I cannot use a drone in my videos right now because I'm monetized. If I was just going out to film videos to put on my family reunion on Facebook or whatever, I could do it. I cannot use drone footage on
Okay.
my channel, and I'm working on my FAA drone pilot license right now, so I can. I mean, think about sitting on the beach with the ocean. I go up and look around at the antenna. It's really cool. But believe it or not, I've already looked into it. In New Zealand and in Australia, I can do it without a license, but I can't do it in the States without an FAA license if I'm
Hmm.
monetized, because I'm considered a commercial pilot by using that drone footage in my videos. That's what's It's crazy. So you're talking about there, that's something right there. Legal side of it. It's crazy, but there you go. There's a lot of hurdles like that, and I'm
Yeah.
looking through. So I'm planning 5, 6 months out now. I'm planning all that leading up to. I just pray that I don't get over there and it rains all week while I'm there. That's the only thing that could drive me crazy. But I've already, even that, I've gone to Google Earth and I've looked for Poda parks with like
Hmm.
picnic tables with covers. So if I have to do it, I'll do it that way.
Yeah. Yeah. No. It's funny you mentioned that too. That there were previously some restrictions with recording in national parks. I actually did a YouTube video where I went to Fort Stanwix, which was a POTA forfer. I got to activate 4 parks from Fort Stanwix in central New York, which is a Revolutionary War fort. And I realized after the fact that they you need a permit if you're going to film for commercial purposes. And the National Park Service looked at YouTube and social media as commercial purpose, even if you weren't monetized,
Right.
because that platform is selling ads. It was for commercial purposes. So even you go, even if a family went in technically and was recording some videos at a national park and put them on Instagram and so, like it was ridiculous. So that's changed recently, and I had the video up for a little bit, then I took it down. Like I'm just little YouTuber. I'm not not paying no
Well, it's
fines or
fun.
nothing. Then
You worry
then I
about
put
it
it
all the
back up.
time.
After the court cases and everything got adjudicated and things got they finally relaxed their approach to that. With filming in the national parks and stuff like that. But it was like, oh, like there's these little headaches and hiccups all along the way.
You worry about that. I got a copyright strike. Not last video before. I was in the Outer Banks. My wife and I, if anyone watched the video, we got in her Cherokee, and we're driving up to Duck, North Carolina, and I'm playing a song that my son wrote, my son recorded, and I'm playing that in the background as we're going down the beach road. And when I about 10 or 15 minutes after I posted the video, I got a copyright strike, and it said that video had been demonetized. And I'm like, why? And I will go and read it because um, our song by Alan Hudson and the Half Moons, blah blah blah. And I was
Mhm.
like, wow. So I disputed it, and then they said it would take up to 30 days. And then I got my son. I sent it all to him. He goes, wow. I guess I'm getting out there because he's on Apple
Mhm.
Music, Spotify. He's on all that, and
Yeah.
it's through. So
Yep.
he's his stuff is released through. It's called DistroKid for musicians.
Okay.
He contacted DistroKid and put in, and DistroKid then contacted YouTube and and they removed the copyright strike and said I was free with zero strikes. That's why the last video I did another one. I won't do it all the time, but it was crazy. I mean, so you always worry about that. I mean, I
Mhm.
don't want to. There's a lot of hard work into
Yeah.
that channel. I didn't care about getting one video demonetized. I cared about how many strikes I had because as they build up,
Exactly.
it causes you trouble. So I got the strike removed.
Good. Good. It's the little things like that behind the scenes.
Right, right, right.
And everything. Well, thanks so much for joining. Before we wrap up, people might have noticed the crawl down below. Shameless plug, but I don't have any control over this. But Spreadshop, where I have my shirts and merch and stuff, they just started a 20% off sale. So if you're interested in the RF around and find out, and QR Poppy and some of these other designs I have that are real nerdy, go ahead and pick yourself up a shirt or a hoodie or something like that. And then I'm just going to circle back to what I mentioned in the beginning, the 5-2 summer reading challenge. You know, it it definitely there's a lot of great books. Walt's got some good books, but there's plenty of other books that are ham radio related, ham adjacent, or even if it's not radio, just take a little time for yourself to kind of stimulate that mind, get those creative juices flowing. And, you never know where you're going to get some inspiration for ways to operate new antennas and stuff like that. So, take a little time for yourself and read a book. I just started a new one today and it's on VHF. So I figured this is the time to, start reading and learning more about 2 and 6 meters. But that's all. Thank you so much, Walt. Anything coming up that you want to plug?
You're talking about merch. I have hired an artist, and I've got some shirts and some merch coming.
Good.
They're right now being laid out and done uh, by an artist for me. I've got a couple different T-shirt designs that are coming. Hopefully, some hats. I'm going through a group called Fourth Wall. They do a lot of merch
Okay.
for different. Yeah,
I remember that name when I was
yeah, and
looking.
it's coming up because I get that question all the time as well. Um, so everybody go get his merch right now, and then it's coming. I get
Yeah.
that everyone goes, Walt, why don't you? I want to. Other than the stickers, people are like, man, I want a Coastal Waves and Wires hat or a shirt or whatever. It's coming. It really is, and I hope you like it. I mean, I'll give you a quick hint. The whole idea of the design is kind of like we have here on the coast, or like a surf shop designs on the back. And one of the shirts got a dolphin talking on the radio, and it has Coastal Waves and Wires underneath it. It says, crank up the saltwater amplifier. And then another one has a crab with a radio and a mic in his hand, and underneath that it says, stay salty. So that kind of stuff is
Nice.
coming to the channel. So it'll be probably another week or two. Like I said, I hired, and I'm actually paying a professional artist. I want him to look good, and he's doing it for me.
Cool. Well, looking forward to that. And I put another shameless plug down below. Tuesday night ham radio. We got some premieres coming tomorrow, and I just put a link in the chat. I think Steve from Temporary Offline just started Ham Nuggets, that live stream. If folks want to go check that out, I didn't get a chance to do a redirect because I was tied up until just before. But no, thanks so much, Walt. Appreciate it. There's links down below for DX Engineering with Walt's affiliate. There's links to his books. Go check them out. Go get yourself something at DX Engineering and just get out there and have fun. RF around and find out.
That's right.
Thanks so much, everyone. 7-3.
7-3.